Aloha friends, I'm Rachel Kuhn. I'm a Simpson graduate from 2009. I lived in Redding until July of last year, and I've since relocated to Honolulu, Hawaii. So I want to share with you today via video some of the things that have been going on with the Simpson protest. Many of you have responded to Facebook posts saying that all of what you've heard is new information, and so I hope to share a bit more of my heart in this video, and in successive videos share more detailed, a synopsis of what's going on. There's also links posted below that you can check out for more information and read for yourself and investigate on your own. So a week and a half ago, I learned that 3 Simpson seniors decided to hold a hunger strike at Simpson and sleep in front of the Owen Center as part of their strike. These 3 Simpson seniors are Daniel Dixon, Jacob Brunelli, and Eric Wheeler. And the purpose of their action was to bring forth some of the concerns that have been expressed over the last few years by both students and faculty and staff, and to up the ante as far as bringing the issue to light so that they could get more attention and hopefully a hearing this time from the Board of Trustees and the administration. So far, many people have made attempts but have not been heard. So I think this is a very admirable direction. In addition to their visible protest, they have been inviting people to engage them in dialogue and also holding prayer meetings. So they had one at the end of the protest, and they also have their second one tonight. So let's consider joining them on Monday night, whatever time it is, wherever you are, and pray that God will move. So I really want to emphasize that this is an urgent message, because the Board of Trustees is coming to Redding for graduation, which is this weekend. I know it's always so quick. And so this is something we need to act on now, take our own action now, put our own voices in so that the Board of Trustees will hear it's not just a handful of people having concerns, but it's students, faculty, staff, community members, both from present and past. And we're doing this with the hope that the future will be a good one for Simpson University. So some of the issues that I personally became aware of, the main one is the lawsuit that Simpson is currently engaged with, litigation between Dr. Sumner, the former Dean of Tozer, and Simpson University. And I understand that this also might be new information for many of you that have been out of the area, that Simpson is engaged in a lawsuit. A little background, we have a seminary now called A.W. Tozer Theological Seminary, and many of us love Tozer, so this is good news, right? They hired a female dean, also I think something we can applaud for the North State community. Things were going well, it seemed, for the first year or so, and then, as often happens, there were concerns about fiscal issues and a disagreement between Dr. Sumner and Tozer on one hand, and then President McKinney and the administration of Simpson University on the other hand. Simpson administration being supposedly in governance over Tozer Seminary. When this kind of heated discussion happened on a particular day, Dr. McKinney fired Dr. Sumner on the spot, and in doing so violated her contract, broke contract, and also did not follow due process. As you may know, there is protection for staff and workers in our organizations and our businesses, and there's a disciplinary process that people are taken through. They're not usually just fired on the spot. But Simpson broke this law and then rehired Dr. Sumner, needing to make it right. And as we expected, a few months later, she was again fired. So at this time, she had a decision to make, and Dr. Sumner sued Simpson because she saw a lack of truth and integrity, and felt that since Simpson wasn't listening to the concerns of both staff and students yet, that this was a necessary action to take. Simpson then responded by seeking a ministerial exemption, saying that because she's a minister of the gospel, they have permission to fire her and they don't need to follow certain protocol, which seems like kind of a low blow. Simpson seems to function in some respects as a business, as it needs to run fiscally to keep going, and yet at other times like a church. And what concerns me is the Reading community has been asking Simpson, what are you? Are you a business? Are you a church? How do you negotiate that? It's a difficult one. As far as I know, litigation is still pre-court, so they're not actually doing in-court hearings, but pre-court hearings. So a couple years ago, when this was really peaking in 2013, I'd only heard things from the Tozer side and felt that as an alum of the university, I had a right to know what was going on with my alma mater, and I also had a concern that Simpson was continuing to go in a good direction. So I wrote a letter to the Board of Trustees and the President and asked to hear Simpson's side. I think it makes sense that Simpson would want to save the reputation, and so a lot of things were being said very carefully, and most things were being unsaid. And so a lot of students didn't even know that there was a lawsuit, and most community members were unaware of this as well. I did get a reply to my letter, and interim president Dr. Doomer met with me. And that was a good meeting, but I did feel like still the answers were political and media safe in order to save Simpson's reputation. And some of the real questions were still unanswered. Let me also mention that Dr. McKinney at this time was no longer president because he was dismissed by the faculty and staff at the time. Something else to investigate further. So my investigation was inconclusive. I was in a place of searching out, hearing both sides, but I wasn't in a place yet of pushing to get a certain response. And being alumni and not a student, I also had a different position to play. So I really applaud the Simpson seniors right now that are pushing for a response from the administration. They've been living in it and they see the issues most clearly. And so speaking with the main organizer, Daniel Dixon, on the phone a few days ago, he expressed that the three main concerns that the students have are a lack of clear vision by the university. What are we about? Where are we going? Secondly, the Title IX exemption was something that the administration applied for without clearly notifying or communicating this with staff and students. And so most of them found out through a Huffington Post article. Not the best way to communicate with those in your university that are affected by this major policy change. Lastly, a lack of relationship and trust between administration and students, and probably the most important one. Because as Daniel said, the Simpson students right now feel that they don't have a connection with the third floor Owen Center where the administrators are. They don't know what they look like, they don't know who they are, they don't have any interaction. When they try to communicate things, they don't hear things back. There's a lack of trust. So what are they asking for? Also three main things: trust, transparency, and communication. And so that's what the petition, which a link is in the description to the petition, is mainly asking for. It's a letter to the board saying, will you please listen to our concerns now and dialogue with us about this, and will you investigate further some of these complaints we have? Ultimately, what the students are asking Simpson for is to respond to them the same way that they're being treated by Simpson. So coming into Simpson, we sign contracts of our lifestyle, what we're going to be held up to. We come under the authority of Simpson University and sign a contract of how we're going to follow through and how we're going to live as examples of Christ. So when one of us as students fails to meet those standards, we are led by Simpson through a disciplinary process. So then who holds Simpson accountable? The Board of Trustees. They have the highest authority. And as we have concerns about Simpson not representing Christ and our motto well, it's the Board of Trustees that can step forward and engage with them on that. So that's who we're appealing to. As I pray, there's some things that I sense the Lord is saying. One is that a big concern is there's a lying spirit, that truth is being hidden and falsehoods are being spoken. And so that's something I'm really trying to come against in my own intercession. Also, I'm praying that Simpson would remember its roots from being a small Bible school started in 1921 to send out missionaries and workers all over the world to bring the gospel. That's who we are, and let that not change. So the last thing that I feel like the Lord's really saying to me in prayer is that I had an image last night as I was praying that about a dozen or so of us are pushing a big boulder, like bigger, way bigger and way taller than ourselves, along the land, and there's lots of people behind us, kind of as apparitions, representing those that have gone before in this push toward more transparency and truth and communication within Simpson. And so those of us that are now pushing the boulder, asking for these things, are exhausted, not really seeing the end, but as we keep pushing, we get to the point where the boulder takes off on its own and just takes off by its own gravity momentum going downhill. And so I think it's a message of hope that we are near to that time when we really will get heard, and the Spirit of God is going to take this and help it just to keep moving us back toward the core of who we are as Simpson. Just a reminder, Simpson's mission statement, who we are, is a university that is a Christ-centered learning community committed to developing each student in mind, faith, and character for a lifetime of meaningful work and service in a constantly changing world. So we're asking Simpson to continue to be that and to check the ways that they're not following through on that mission. So most importantly, how can you as an alumni join in? Or maybe you're a community member or student watching this and the same apply to you. What we can do as alumni are first pray, because I believe there's some big powers and principalities that have been at work over a university, and we need to come against that. Second, sign the petition. It'll take 3 minutes to read. It's very short. And thirdly, to write your own 1-page or less letter to the Board of Trustees expressing your own concerns. And I know as alumni, we're a little less connected, and so I'll be giving some tips in a later video of how you might express your concerns as an alumni. So again, pray, sign the petition, write your own letter to the Board of Trustees, and do this by Friday, because that's the day that Daniel and others are going to be collecting all these signatures and all these letters and presenting them to the board as they come for graduation. So I just chatted with Daniel, and I guess they have 66 signatures on the petition, and we're aiming for 100 by Friday. So would you be one of those signatures? I hope you'll join me. Thank you.